Hello and welcome to Sports Counsel, your playbook for all things sports. I am your host Matt, and I am joined by G and Gemmar for the final fantasy football episode of the season. Another fantasy football season is in the books, and there's just one more thing we have to do before closing the season out. It's time to give out our annual Fantasy Superlatives to the most memorable players this fantasy season. Finally, we unveil the newest champion of the Sports Counsel Listener League in our most dramatic championship matchup yet. Today is January 1st, 2025, and this is episode 164 of the show.
The champ is here! The
Happy
champ
New Year.
is here!
Happy New Year, everyone.
New
Happy
Year.
2025.
What a great start to 2025, am I right, guys?
I guess you could tell already
I don't know.
who is happy to be here, who has won potentially. I mean, we got both of the contestants of the Sports Counsel Listener League Championship here with us. And I guess there was a little bit of suspense, but I think we could already tell what happened.
Oh, man, I'm sorry, guys. I may have spoiled it, but I'm just so happy, man. I'm so thankful. It's not Thanksgiving, but I'm thankful, man. 2025, and it's couldn't have started off better. I am now the champ, as you guys can tell.
I think the biggest thing is that, I mean, the moment I mentioned that you were on the pod, G, I think people could tell, considering, we ended
Last week
yesterday.
last week I did say I'm not going to be on the pod if I lose.
So the moment you were on, I mean, there you go.
It's
But
gonna be my show.
we were going to invite you, Gemmar, no matter what. If you won, I was just more surprised that, you wanted to come on after. Sadly, you lost. But, I mean, let's get into it because this is actually, just the result in and of itself is not.
We'll save that.
enough
We'll
of
save the final
story.
score for the end. Let's actually do a nice little full week recap, right? Well, it's only one matchup we're going to talk about today. So, let's get right into it, right? We had a interesting Thursday night game, or Wednesday Christmas games.
Yeah, it was like Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
It was a nonstop fantasy action, which is wonderful. No complaints on my end of anything. But we start off George Pickens versus Chris Boswell. Kind of a shit show. Both guys kind of stank it up. So it was pretty even after the Wednesday games. I don't think we had anybody else for either of us for that day. But it was the Thursday game actually that kicked off our matchup. Insane. I had Charbonnet, JSN, DJ Moore going, and then you had
I had Joe Burrow.
No, you had the Seattle defense.
Thursdays you had the Seahawks defense, and somehow the Seahawks defense was the best one. Had all those players and fantasy players I named. Somehow their defense was actually I think probably like the highest scoring anything from that game.
Dude, I think the craziest thing is that you guys had players every single day in the 5 days of football that we had for the championship, which is honestly too much stress for me.
So stressful, bro.
And then through the week it was worse for Gemmar here, who lost Kamara and with CeeDee Lamb through the week. So I was like, fuck, my guys are playing like shit because I did DJ Moore 12, which is decent. JSN had 6 and Charbonnet had 10. So it wasn't like anything to write home about. But I'm like, the only thing that's I can be happy about in this matchup is his guys aren't fucking playing right now. Every single one of them keeps dropping out. And I'm like, well, this is better than my guys playing good, I guess.
Yeah, and then we move on to Saturday, and I think Gemmar had the biggest performer of the night. He had Joe Burrow, who went off 3 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, 400 yards, 1 rushing touchdown in overtime of everything. It went to overtime. Gee, any reactions to that? You had Will Lutz too.
I Will Lutz. He didn't do shit, but I was terrified, man. I'm like, dude, I had Joe Burrow in a couple other leagues, and even then, everybody knew Joe Burrow was kind of on a heater right now. You know what I mean? What's been averaging, I think 250, 3 tugs the last 7 games, broke the NFL record for most consecutive games with 250 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. And then on top of that, this motherfucker runs for a touchdown. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I know Joe Burrow start running for touchdowns, man.
I was watching the game. I was like, I thought they were gonna take a knee right before just take a knee kick before time regulation. But no, they pushed his ass to the end zone. I was like, I bet I'll take it. Like,
And he got 2 extra touchdowns just from that, because then it went to overtime. Then he got another passing touchdown.
And then not on top of that, then you also had fucking Cortland Sutton, bro. And I was like, dude, it's like every fucking time one of these guys is on the field, they're just going off. And I'm like, dude, and that Cortland, there was a Joe Burrow touchdown, then a Cortland Sutton touchdown, and then another Joe Burrow touchdown. And I was like, fuck me, dude. This is just like how it all goes bad.
Yeah, but then the Sunday games, they played out. Gemmar had Devon Achane and Kendre Miller and Jalen Coker, who had to replace Kamara and CD.
So bad.
Brock Bowers came back, got double digits. Josh Allen did his Josh Allen thing. So, I mean, at the end of the Sunday games, I believe, G, you were ahead, I want to say.
I was up 6 going into Monday night. It was, as promising as it could be. That's Jahmyr Gibbs, and then he had Jawan Jennings and Laporta, and it was just, my top guy, who's been
one play
at the end of the game. Let's go more even in depth into this matchup. So Monday, the game has already started. They're going back and forth. I take the lead. He takes the lead back. The projections at a certain point was like 130 to 130.01, and I was like, okay, well, we have basically the equal projections. Like, this couldn't be any closer. And then Laporta scores that touchdown, and shit's like, fuck, man, this is where I can't keep up. And then, like, right after Jawan got fed, a couple more catches, I'm like, oh shit, dude, this is over. And then they had a drive where they were going down the field, but Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't in. He was like getting, I think it was like his piercing was bleeding or something like that. It looked like you were, something to do with the ear bleeding or something like that. So I was like, fuck, what if he's just like, say fuck it and don't want to play him? Because they're already up at that point, right? So I'm like, dude, this might not get good. And all you see, I think it's like the middle of the fourth quarter or early fourth quarter, he comes in. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. There's a chance he can get me like these 5 points that I need to get the lead, whatever. Catches a little screen pass the first play, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm almost there. I'm almost back. And boom, down the sideline, Jahmyr Gibbs goes, man. And that was all she wrote. Josh Dobbs almost tried to fuck my fucking season up.
Dude. Hold on. Let me tell you about this. I'm like, Gibbs scores. I'm like, oh my God, here we fucking go. G takes the fucking lead. And I'm like, it's all up to Jawan Jennings up to that point now. I'm like, I think I'm down like 3.
7. You're down by 7.
Down by 7 at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's just no way I can't come back. But this last drive, I just see Brock Purdy feeding Jawan like a couple passes, and then Brock gets fucking hurt. He gets taken out. In comes Josh Dobbs, and I'm like, there's no way he's passing it at Jawan. He gives him 2 passes.
They were teammates in Tennessee, bro.
And then there's the final pass to the end zone. I swear to God, it was like in slow motion.
Yeah, the ball felt like it was just hanging in the air, bro. He did put so much touch on the ball. I was like, dude, this is never gonna come down.
I was like, holy shit, here we go. He overthrows Jawan Jennings, and oh my God, that's fucking game. The next play, Josh Dobbs does a scramble drill. I'm yelling at my TV to throw the ball to Jawan one more time. He runs it in for the touchdown, and I'm like, it took a lot of me to not punch my TV, bro. I was like, there's no fucking way.
And then that's all she wrote. And now, by the final score, is what I guess people would love to know. How close was the matchup? The final score was 137.08 to 136.88. I was the champ by 0.2.
0.2. I mean, I was waiting for stat corrections. I didn't want to say anything, but I mean, gosh.
Me either, man.
2 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, if that ball wasn't placed 2 yards, back or anything, I'd be sick to my stomach, Gemmar. I'm sorry. And I wanna even point out the bigger thing here, because it gets worse. It gets worse for Gemmar here, because we've mentioned our money league, which we've had, for a couple years now, and Gemmar is in that as well. And he was in the championship with that one as well, and he was facing up against our podcaster Gav in the championship. He had Jahmyr Gibbs in that Monday night game. Gav had Brock Purdy and Isaac Guerrero. And when Jahmyr Gibbs hit that run, obviously it cost him in the money league, but he was up now in the. It cost him in the listener league, but he was up in the money league. But then Brock Purdy hit those last couple of garbage time, yards. Gav won that matchup by 1.6.
Like, you can't make that shit up, bro. 2 championship games, 2 leagues, both losing by like 1 point or less. That's like, how was you guys' Christmas and New Year's?
Not gonna lie,
it was great. I'm not gonna lie.
I'd be on suicide watch. I'd be on suicide watch if I had that. It's just 1, but 2. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm driving off the Golden Gate.
Especially the money league, like damn, like
oh my god, yes.
The hundreds of dollars that you missed out on.
It's a couple hundred, but who's counting?
Like,
yeah,
like it's one thing to like the difference between losing by a point and then losing by 20. The close losses, they hurt so much. I just needed one more Brock Purdy pick. I would have been richer. I would have been richer today.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the case, and I'm the champ.
Yeah, for the 5th annual Sports Counsel Listener League, your champion is our podcaster G. He retains the title for the podcasters. This is his first win. Came back from his, loss in the championship last year. Redeems himself. G, this is your spotlight.
I couldn't handle myself after losing to Gav last year. Like, of all fucking people to lose to, too. It's the most annoying. Not Gav's the most. Yeah, he is. But I had to come back and get it right. It's a great right season. It's official.
Right season.
And now it's like, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna try next year. I might just do some, more fun shit. Might bring back, the infamous triple tight. I might just, do something else. Maybe try to start a new trend. But, I'm back.
Wow. A lot of podcasters. 3 podcasters have now won it. God, I gotta win this league.
Yeah. You're like, a
lone wolf.
The problem is I still have the gimmick on. You got serious. I got my gimmick on. We'll see what happens next year. But again, this is your moment, G. Congratulations on winning the Listener League.
Oh man, thank you.
Great job, I guess.
Crazy championship.
It's whatever.
Jemmar, we have you on today because it seems like you had some grievances to air. So now's the time to do it.
Honestly, Kendra Miller, Jalen Coker, y'all get a little pass, I guess, because y'all weren't supposed to be that good anyway. There's only one person, only one fucking person on my team that I need to talk to. I sent a DM too, by the way.
We don't condone this. We were not aware of this.
I sent a DM to his actual account. I'm not gonna say what I said, but some strong language. Devon A-Chain.
Oh man.
What were you doing, bro? 10 carries, 25 yards.
That's
2 receptions.
Bro. 2.5 yards per carry is despicable.
2.5 yards versus the Cleveland Browns. Like I get it's Myles Garrett and that's Snoop Huntley giving you the ball, but you can only give me 25 yards on the ground and 13 yards in the air.
That's crazy.
I was like, ain't no
sick.
fucking way. I'm like, bro, you look like you're not even running. And then I see, oh my God. And then I see Mike McDaniel. I see him put out Raheem Mostert for like 3 straight drives out there. I was fucking sick. I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like,
that's lit, man. I'm hella happy for you, bro.
The only good thing I think that not participating is that it's fun to watch. It's fun to see this reaction. I'm so glad I'm not in this.
Oh my God, Devon A-Chain, you. Yeah. I hope you read my DM, Devon A-Chain.
Damn.
Because you fucking cost me.
We
Point
do not.
2. You couldn't have gave me 2 more fucking yards. You couldn't have gave me 2 more fucking yards, bro.
As always,
Yeah.
Sports Counsel does not condone any sort of violence or threats towards any players or anything. And it is another wonderful 2024 NFL fantasy season. We had a lot of fun, and hopefully we helped a lot of you reach your fantasy football championships or even win it. If not, by the way, I noticed that, I always track the starts and sits, and even though we don't have any starts and sits this week, we didn't do so well, G. We did not do very well. But hopefully the ones we did hit will help you. Yeah, the 2-man went number 2, I guess, this last week. So, I mean,
we were too focused on obviously doing the whole Christmas theme and
the
stuff.
Christmas parts.
Yeah, of course, man.
It is what it is. But either way, hopefully we helped you guys out on your fantasy football championships and whatnot. We already got a couple of congratulations and thanks, and we appreciate that. We really do. So. We hope that your season ended up very well, and we could just be a little bit a part of that. So,
yeah.
All right. So now we're going to get into this. This is our 2024 Fantasy Football Superlatives. We do this at the end of every season. It started, I think, the first time we really kind of covered the fantasy football season, but we like to nominate a couple of, the most notable players that affected our fantasy football season, who will remember at the end of it for, certain accolades and kind of reputations. And, not everyone gets to win Offensive Player of the Year or MVP, but they still get to have a little bit of our hearts and in our memories based off of the performances that they've had. So a lot of these superlatives, actually all of them, are kind of inside jokes that we kind of had in college. So I will explain all of them to you, and, hopefully that'll help understand that. So let's start off with the first one here, the Alexis Award. So this is the player that you wanted on at least one of your teams, but sadly it was not meant to be. So this, actually the explanation behind this is that our podcaster Nando really, really liked this Lexus car, and he was always moaning and whining about it. He was like, I want a Lexus. And, it stuck. He never got that Lexus, by the way. Just got a nice, mid-sized sedan. Very, very efficient, very smart of him. But sadly, it was never meant to be with him and Alexis. So, why don't you start off, G? How about you start off, champ?
Yeah, I get what the name of the award, but, the thing I thought about was, why stop at wanting a Lexus when you can have a Ferrari? I missed out on the Ferrari this year that I wanted. That was Saquon, and I really wanted Saquon. I make a season-long bet every year, and Saquon and Jonathan Taylor were the first 2 legs of that play, rushing yards over, and Saquon hit week 9, hit 1,000 yards or whatever.
Crazy.
But yeah, then I was just like, dude, why the fuck did I bet this guy's rushing yards and not draft him in any of my leagues? And I was like, and I also realized I didn't have any late first round picks this draft, so it's kind of hard to get Saquon in those earlier spots without thinking I'm not going to take these guys or higher ADP, which is a different discussion. But missed out on all the Saquon Barkleys this year, man.
Damn. Yeah, I kind of had a similar vein here. Bijan Robinson was the guy I wanted and I had last year in my young men's club in this listener league, and I wanted him again. I was drafting a little too late, actually, in all of my leagues, so I wasn't able to get him. The closest I was the money league that I mentioned before, but, he came 1 pick before mine, and I had to settle for Breece Hall. So I really wanted Bijan Robinson, and I wish I got him because he looks like the guy that I've always wanted. I always thought he could be, which is a top running back.
Yeah, having Bijan is great, man. He's a great guy to root for, especially when fucking Hitler himself, Arthur Smith, wasn't there this year.
He'll be a top 5 pick next year, Bijan.
What is it with the Steelers fans and Hitler comparisons?
Ha 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 ha. We're not gonna go too far into that.
Okay, why don't you go, Gemmar?
I think my Alexis player would be George Kittle. I think he's instead of Alexis, he's I want to say a Toyota Camry. Just a model of consistency, Oh, he's so reliable. He gets the job done. He never lets you down. just consistent, always top 5 on tight end fantasy. Gets you the points that you need. Gets to the points, that get you the win. Like, and I never had that. I always shoot for like the high end tight ends. Like this year, I drafted Laporta because of last year, but next year, hopefully, I can grab me a George Kittle and not worry about a thing if he can get points or not.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 of these guys probably projected to be high picks next year, for sure. All right, so the next superlative we have here is the Sid Ho. So, the Sid Ho is a toxic asset on your team. You initially added him because you believed he would make a fine addition to your squad, but ultimately, after a strong initial showing, he has degraded to the point where you can't stand having him on your roster because of how bad he did your squad. This is always a very fun one. This is based off of an individual that me, Gab, and Dylan used to know back in college. We used to be friends, and we had a bit of a falling out, much like the description of this superlative here. So, who is the Sid Ho of your fantasy football squad? I have one, but I gotta prepare a little bit. I'm still a little mad.
Understandable. I mean, I feel like mine is very obvious. I feel like if you kind of keep along with the pod, there's been the definition of a Sid Ho that I've had, and that's been Kyle Pitts. And finally, I've tossed Kyle Pitts to the side, and I will never draft him again this year, this fantasy season.
He caught a touchdown.
He did catch a touchdown. He brought me back in. But right now, he's off the roster. I cut him twice this year, which is a lot for me. So
Twice?
Does he get a ring?
I cut him just to bring him back on my roster. Of course he gets a fucking ring.
That is that is toxic.
Oh yeah, me and him have a very, very toxic relationship.
Yeah. Speaking of toxic relationships, like, do you guys, in beginning of relationships, like, you guys go through a honeymoon phase, and then you get infatuated by that person, and then down the road, it turns out sour, it turns out mean, it turns out sucky. Well, that's Jalen fucking Waddle. His first 2 seasons in the NFL, great. Looks so promising. Mm-hmm. Looks so like a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy. I felt like drafting him, like last year, I felt like it was a fluke. He'll show up this year.
Should have won.
That was not the case this year. Jalen Waddle, inconsistent, don't know where he is. Half the time he's hurt. Half the time he's not getting the ball. And I can't stand him. I can't stand him anymore. I can't stand a guy that pisses me off that much.
I'm pretty sure he was the guy that I nominated last year for the Sid Ho. Like, I remember I was so pissed off.
He's a Sid Ho that gets passed around, you know what I mean?
No.
Oh.
Who will draft him next year, I wonder? Well, it won't be me, and I certainly won't be drafting this guy either. I had Deebo Samuel as my Sid Ho because he's not only a toxic asset on my fantasy team, but he was also starting to become a toxic asset on my actual football team that I root for. But I decided against it because it's Christmas. I'm supposed to love all my players for some reason, so I'm going to not choose him. And I was reminded on Thursday Night Football that I actually had an even worse player on my fantasy football roster that didn't even make it to the end of the season for me, and that was Caleb Williams. He was supposed to be my answer at quarterback. He was supposed to be my solution. Bryant, our other, podcaster on here, said he was his council champion, and I foolishly bought into that belief because, I thought he was going to be the next Mahomes. The only thing is that, he only thinks he's Mahomes at this point because he takes so many fucking sacks. He took so many sacks against the Seahawks last week where it looked like he thought he was going to try to make a Mahomes play and he thought he had like some kind of ability. But turns out, Caleb, college players are not as fast as NFL players. NFL players are actually fast and they can catch up to you. He has no ability. He throws like these passes over every receiver's head, like miles above everyone's head. His footwork's embarrassing. Like, there's so much to not like about Caleb Williams. Like, I don't care if it's just Shane Waldron, because look, Shane Waldron's not there anymore. I know his coaching staff sucks. I know his offensive line isn't great. I know Keenan Allen is old, and Rome Odunze maybe isn't as good as, everyone thought he was. But the problem is with him right now, and I will not draft him. I don't care if Ben Johnson goes there, because he does not look good. He does not look good. I hate him. Get off my team.
I mean, he was supposed to be the quarterback of the future for the young intellectuals.
Do you know what pissed me off about him? Is that I also had, I was against, the only other championship matchup I had was against the Seattle defense. I had DJ Moore. And the Seattle defense outscored DJ Moore because fucking Caleb Williams took 7 sacks that he didn't know. Like, if he threw the ball into the dirt every other play, I'm pretty sure I would have ended up with a better score. Like, he's haunting me even when he's not on my fucking team.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was definitely a side hoe this whole season. And he's like one of those zesty ones too.
Oh man,
not the zesty.
Jamar was laughing because Jamar knows exactly which ones. Yeah, no, Jamar knows which exact side hoes I'm talking about.
Oh
Jesus. Yeah. All right, we're moving on here to the Confused PP Award, or superlative here. This is a player that continues to show promise sporadically, but every time you need to rely on them, they disappoint you. Their random mix of good games or bad leave you constantly confused and mostly frustrated. Sometimes you play them, other times they play you. This is a very long story. This involves Dylan and a girl, and judging by the title, I think you should know the rest of what happened to poor Dylan here. And I hate that Dylan. I hate that Dylan's not here for this because he always expresses those frustrations very accurately. So, but we're gonna do the best we can here. I'll go first here. I'm gonna nominate Deebo Samuel. I kept him from the Sid Ho Award, but guess what? He still deserves a little bit of frustration and confusion because he actually had a good start to the season. He had 17 points, he had 18 points in PPR, and then somehow when Brandon Ayuk got hurt, he disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. He had that one game where he scored 0 points because of the, pneumonia, which I very much did not. I kind of lashed out about that. I said some nicknames about him that I shouldn't have, potentially, but we'll keep that private. Either way, again, he is just so confusing. Nope, I'm not going to say it. He's my guy still, kind of, but he's very confusing to me. And, he had actually a good game last week. He scored a touchdown this week. I mean, he could have been actually a good playoff option, but I mean, then there was that time in the first round of the playoffs where he complained on Twitter that he wasn't just getting the ball, and then he dropped probably a surefire touchdown. He just looked generally not good and unathletic and maybe a little bit overweight or out of shape. And, it's just very confusing. I don't know what to do with you, Debo, but I'm not going to draft you because you're confusing the hell out of me. I want to get excited for you, but I can't.
Yeah,
he needs to change his number, bro.
Yeah, he needs to, I was going to say, dude, he also fucking looks so stupid in that jersey. And go back to 19.
Deebo Samuel Sr. is what threw me off. Seniors cannot be on the young intellectuals, honestly.
Yeah, that's your fault for drafting.
I didn't know the jersey. I didn't know that he was gonna put that on the jersey.
You must not have been following his Instagram, huh?
Damn. No, I don't actually.
Yeah, I understand. It's okay. My confused PP of the year goes to Xavier Worthy. And, people would be like, Worthy's playing good and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's weird because he started off the season. I think you guys remember week 1, he had that end-around touchdown. And then you're like, oh, shit, dude, this is the next Tyreek Hill. He's going to be the next Tyreek Hill. And then he would have 4 and 5 points the next 2 weeks. And you're just like, what just happened? This guy's not even getting any touches. And then you have a whole middle part of the season where you're like, he's got these easy matchups. We're going to be playing Vegas or we're going to be playing Tampa. These defenses are horrible. We're going to be able to start Xavier Worthy and he would just keep, laying eggs for you. He even had -1 against Tampa. It's just crazy. And he's playing the snaps. He's not hurt. It's crazy. And then eventually, you're like, okay, I can't start him anymore. And it's too confusing. And he starts going off during these playoff games. And if you did happen to start him against Pittsburgh this last week in your championships, you would have got a happy 23 points from him. Or the week before with 20, and the week before that 19.6. So I was like, where has this been all season? And I'm just left as a confused man.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with him next year. Actually, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, my confused PP award goes to Jaden Reed. You know, he swindled me. Game 1, he popped off, and that made me solidify as him like, oh my God, that's the Packers wide receiver 1. And then, he had a couple of down weeks, and after those down weeks, he pops off again. And then it's just a little like he's like a literal roller coaster ride. He has his ups, but he has a lot of downs and he's not really rising that much. I mean, put him on, he will get like 5 points. I put him off, he will go off. And I don't know if that's Michael LaFleur or Jordan Love not giving him the ball enough, and he's not even rushing the ball anymore. Now he's not doing no end arounds like last season as a rookie. And I don't know what to do with Jaden Reed. I don't know if I want him anymore.
He was literally my start of the week. I believed in that guy so hard for this championship week. I bet on him, too. I put money on Jaden Reed. What did he have? 6 yards?
One catch, 6 yards.
Yeah, that start of the week, man. When you were saying it last week,
I take that on the chin completely. I was putting Titans and Packers all around.
I even asked you this. I was like, bro, are you sure this is what you want to be doing? You're like, yeah, bro.
He made up his mind.
I'll own it for sure. All right. This next one is the Munchie Meal Superlative. This is the one I always hope that we get a sponsor for, because this is based off the Jack in the Box Munchie Meal. You picked them up late in the season, and you thought you'd have to be high or desperate to enjoy their performances, but they've been able to get you important points to win games. So this one is a very college classic. Back in college, we all used to the only thing that was open in Santa Cruz late at night was Jack in the Box. So if we were studying late or working on something and we forgot to make
getting
dinner,
high.
Oh yeah, that too. We could always rely on Jack in the Box and their Munchie Meals, which used to be $6, by the way, very cheap, and you get 2,000 calories, and that's crazy. That's crazy value right there. So, Jack in the Box, sponsor us. We have nothing but good things to say about you guys.
Yeah, come on, Jack.
Yeah. All right. My Munchie Meal of the season is Kareem Hunt, the Kansas City Chiefs running back. We always say this, and this is something that you should learn for next year. Some of these waiver wire pickups, they can basically win you your league. They can win you your season because you never know how long they're going to last. And I did not expect Kareem Hunt. I didn't even know that he was going to be the starting running back when I picked him up. I just picked him up because they said they were going to work him out and see what happens. And then everyone was bidding on Carson Steele or I don't remember who the other guy is, Samaje Perine. I just picked up Kareem Hunt off a whim. And he literally became my starting running back for a solid 6 to 10 weeks. And, obviously he wasn't going to help in the playoffs, but I thank him for getting me enough regular season wins so I could get into the playoffs to begin with. So, thank you, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, that was a great pickup. That's what I thought I was doing when I picked up Juju for the Chiefs. I'm like, oh man, all these guys are hurt. Juju just had 90 yards. I'm so smart. But it was always Kareem Hunt.
Can't win them all.
With that being said, my own Munchie Meal of the year goes to Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet, the last 3 weeks has been starting running back, and he's been basically RB1 level or RB2, especially later in this season where in multiple leagues, I just obviously had running back injuries or running back, different issues with them or just unreliable guys that I needed to replace. And this man has just been sitting there on these waiver wires for me, and I was like, this is just exactly what I need, man. And he's played solid. This was his worst week, and he was still pretty good. He's not wasn't fantastic, but a floor of 10 points is, I would say, pretty safe for a running back, man. That makes you feel really safe about where you are with them, right? So I was pretty satisfied, and like I said, munchie meal late in the season, bro. Pick that up. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, curly fries.
Oh man, that might be my favorite part, bro.
Ooh, love that. I also have a Zach for the Munchie Meal Award, and it's Zach Ertz. I picked him up because Laporta had a bye week. I had to pick somebody up. I was like, why not? Why not take Zach Ertz for the one time? He did really well, and from then on, he's been a model of consistency. Now, I picked up Zach Ertz because I didn't know what to expect from him. He's not what he used to be. He's old. He's 34. I know Matt wouldn't like that.
No, I wouldn't.
But if you had him on your championship team this week or last week, I meant, you probably might have won. He had a big game, and like from weeks 10 and then on, he might have won you a couple games here and there. It's like he's playing as if he was an Eagle again, which is kind of surprising to me.
I guess some old men still have some new tricks. I'll admit that.
There you go. Well, I mean, Zach and Zach, man. I guess that's the key for the late waiver wire pickups in the season.
Let's pick up Zach's. All right, this next
pick
one
up Zach Wilson next.
Oh, nope. No, thank you.
Oh, shit. This just went 0 to 100.
Oh, God.
Fuck it.
I forgot he existed for a second there.
Yeah, man, dude. I mean, this is really, really uncompletely related, but, like, he could still be the man. Don't
he
sleep
can't.
on Zach.
No, he can't.
We'll save that for another deep cut day where we have a nice long Zach Wilson discussion.
Jesus Christ. Zach Wilson pod. All right. The Grant Superlative. This is the true wild card. You almost didn't want to take him just because you knew all the stories surrounding him and his reputation, but every time you start him, you tend to have a great time. This is based off of my college roommate and a very close friend of mine, Grant. Grant, I, and Gav, we were all college roommates together, and he was always just the craziest individual that you'll ever know. I'm talking about him like he's dead. He's very much alive. So, there's that. But this is a way of kind of, I don't know, tributing him in a way. So, G, why don't you go first in this one?
Yeah, I'm no problem. I can definitely go first here. It's George Pickens. He's the ultimate wild card, just like Grant himself. I had the luxury of meeting
yes.
Grant a few times, and every time he was on like some whole other random shit, and I don't think there's a better way to describe George Pickens. Like just don't know what you're get out of him, but the whole everything he does is just kind of crazy, random, sporadic, self-centered sometimes, but shit, every time you start him, it works. He gets one of those moon balls or a slant, takes it deep. He does something. He's going to get active, and that's the best part. Is like, the best way to excuse that type of behavior is just to keep putting up numbers, right? So he was good for that, and I really appreciated that, you truly appreciate those wild cards after they start playing good or, show some more usefulness.
Even this week, he didn't lose your championship. Like, he had 8 points, and this was like a down week. So, I mean,
yeah,
that was
exactly.
pretty good. I'll go next. I'll go with T. Higgins. I mean, there was a lot surrounding T. Higgins. He was a 6th-round pick for me because of his injury history, because he didn't have really a good year last year. And he had that infamous game where he was active, but he scored 0 points because of injury or something like that. And guess what? The reputation kept on, sustaining itself because he got injured multiple times. He wasn't even healthy to start the year. I think he missed the first 2 games, and then he missed another couple of weeks because he had some other injury that he sustained in practice. It was frustrating. I was mad for a little bit because I was like, everyone knew that he would get injured in practice, and this always happens. He can't have soft tissue for some reason because he'll injure it. So, but ultimately, when he's on the field, he will score. And he scored like a touchdown in almost every single game to end the year. He had 40 points in your fantasy football championships and probably damn near won it for you if you had him. So I'm very thankful for T. Higgins. I didn't win the championship with him, but I know that he would have been a vital part of it. He's a very good player.
That's a crazy hypothetical that you just put out there.
I would have. I could have.
Yeah, I would. If I would have made the championship, I'm sure T. Higgins would have had a great game for me. Or what?
T. Higgins had the good game. I just had to take him there. That's me. That's a coaching thing.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, my Grant Award, I had to pivot a little bit. It was between like two people. I think for me, it was either between Jacoby Myers or Cortland Sutton. I ended up picking Jacoby Myers just because of his situation on quarterback between AOC, Gardner Minshew, and Desmond Ridder. It's like, are you really gonna perform the way I want you to perform? And he actually did. He actually got catches, he got receptions, he got the yardage. And it didn't matter who was throwing him the ball to. He was getting open, which was so surprising to me. So shout out to Jacoby Myers for just, being him.
I think the craziest thing is that he caught a couple touchdowns this year, and he caught one in the championship game. He used to be that guy where he never caught a touchdown ever.
Yeah, I could have used 2 more yards from Jacoby.
All right, relax. You didn't need no more anything, bro.
All right, last but not least, we have the Ratatouille. This is the best player by far on your team. He has carried you to this point, and you cannot wait to see what's next from him. So this is inspired by Grant and his world-famous ratatouille. He used to make the best ratatouille, and for a broke college kid who is eating munchy meals every other day, ratatouille is a pleasant and welcome surprise, and very much the MVP of a great feast, I'd say. So I'll go first this time. My ratatouille of the year is, I want to say that I nominated him last year, and I drafted him again this year. That's just how good he is. It's Kyren Williams, the Los Angeles Rams running back. Like, God, I cannot. It's so conflicting because I put a 49er player as my confused PP, and I put the Kyren Williams as the Ratatouille. I'm not supposed to like division rival players, but I cannot help but love Kyren Williams. I love everything he does out there. I didn't believe for a second that Blake Corum was going to replace him, or that he was going to be a punt returner. Or
that shit was so funny, bro.
That.
Yeah, we're talking about if the punt returner allegations are the funniest.
We gotta
thing
start
ever.
dissecting like some of these rumors and like get rid of the panic. Like Ja'Marr Chase, remember he was dropping balls in preseason, and then like he became.
There was
the wide
something
receiver one.
it was with the lace, right? If the ball was going a different way or something like that, it looked different. So he kept dropping passes, and we were like, "Dude, oh my God, this man's not going to be good."
We got to do a segment next year on dissecting the preseason hype. But either way, I drafted him steadfast in the second round. He delivered on that and more. He was my running back one of the year. Like, he never had like a down. I don't think he ever really had a down game. He scored double digits in almost every single game, and he got fed. Like, Sean McVay feeds his running backs. I believe that, and he did get fed. Kyren, I cannot state enough how much I love to have you in fantasy football. I actually really am looking forward to drafting you again. Let's make it 3 for 3, huh?
No, that's beautiful. You can go next, though, Gemmar.
Yeah, I'll go next. Save you for last, G. My Ratatouille award goes to no other than my MVP, Joe Shiesty. You already know, Joe Cool. And shout out to Joe Burrow, because he, preseason, he was hurt. He didn't know if Ja'Marr Chase was going to play with him. His O-line sucks, as always. But guess what? He's a top 3 QB, number 4 overall in scoring fantasy, just putting up tuds and yards week in, week out, just building an MVP case for the NFL season. He won't get it, but But next year, I might put a vote in tomorrow. I won't be surprised if he gets it next year.
Maybe if he just starts off the season without losing to the Patriots, there's a great chance he might win an MVP.
Hey, that could have helped, but I stuck through him. I ignored that one. I ignored week 1, but after that MVP case, just delete that week 1. But shout out to Joe Burrow, winning basically, just being him, being Joe Cool, Joe Shiesty, bringing back LSU days.
Now, I know you're a Chargers fan, Gemmar. I mean, do you want him to get to the playoffs? Is it their fondness there?
Honestly, yes, because, sorry, G, but here's a scenario for my Chargers. If Joe Burrow beats the Steelers, and I don't, hopefully, the Chiefs can, like, beat the Broncos or whatever, but in a perfect world, the Bengals beat the Steelers, which gives my Chargers, an opportunity to beat a 5th seed. So that means we'll beat the who would he play? We'll beat the Raiders,
Texans, right? Oh yeah,
yes, sir. And and it's all for the 5th seed to play the Texans in a dome, first week of the playoffs. Because I ain't trying to play Lamar or Josh Allen in the cold. Fuck that.
Perfectly fair, actually.
Respectable. Well, just like what Gemmar said there, not going to happen. We don't have to worry about that. But my Ratatouille award, or should I say awards, go to, I want to shout out like Gemmar did, his MVP of his team, the MVP of my team. And in my team, there's just not one guy I can really just be like, this guy played above and beyond expectations and was just so much better than what I expected, because like there were multiple guys that just did the same, those exact things for me. So I'm going to shout them all out. Let's start from the QB, the guy that, Gemmar doesn't want to see in the first round. That's Josh Allen himself. What a fucking beast, man. What a fucking beast. What else is there to say? He's just a fucking single man that just runs a whole offense by himself however he wants, and he became the quarterback 1 in fantasy, quarterback 2 in fantasy, and he was just an absolute beast for me. No regrets in drafting him. Second is Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh my god, the second David Montgomery got hurt, I felt bad for David Montgomery, but I knew what that meant for my fantasy team, and Jahmyr Gibbs' fantasy numbers, then they just went insane. And that rushing touchdown at the end of the year, or the end of the game, to win me the league, was just something unstoppable. The 4 last weeks, David Montgomery's been out. He was the RB12 with 19, RB2 with 28, RB7 with 25, and the RB2 with 26. So, man, what else could you fucking want, right? What an absolute guy. And then next, that brings us in the team name is the Gritty Committee. And I have to shout out Justin Jefferson himself, and the dancing he did, the vibes he brought, and that's just in himself is a beast too, bro. He was best first round pick, number 2 receiver, and that's just wonderful. And just to go back a little bit, Jahmyr Gibbs was number 2 running back. And my last and final award, maybe the most important one, goes to Brock Bowers, the number 1 tight end, who was an absolute fucking beast and just a unstoppable force. And he's on the Raiders, which just makes it that much more insane that what he did this year. He put up 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards, and 108 catches. Which is just fucking ridiculous. Broke almost every rookie receiving yard record. And yeah, those 4 guys, man, the Fantastic Four. One, all number 2 at their position, or if they're not number 2, they're 1. So what else could you want?
Is that you weren't even supposed to draft Brock Bowers? You were on auto draft.
Oh my, no fucking
that was
way.
the one pick. That was the one pick. I got disconnected on my ride back home from work. And I couldn't make myself, and so they made it for me.
Crazy.
And funny enough, because I already had drafted Kyle Pitts at that point, so they drafted me a second tight end. And I think after like week 2, bro, Brock Bowers never came out.
Divine intervention somehow. I mean, and
God,
also
bro.
Just to make the playoffs, you needed a masterclass from Josh Allen. I was there with you, and you got 50, I think I want to say, from him. Yeah,
and I squeaked into the playoffs at the end there, man. Had an insane win streak to end the season and get into playoffs. I'll shout out to Josh Allen for that one. 4-game win streak now. So.
Divine intervention.
Ever since he got engaged, man. Crazy.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Put a ring on it. Shit changes.
You might put 2 rings. What?
Are you gonna DM thank Haley?
No, I'm not. I'm actually gonna hope that if we do see the Bills in the playoffs, that she does very much the exact opposite of what she's been doing for him.
Don't want to know what that is. But, either way, if you have a fantasy MVP, and I just wanted to point this out, and you won a championship, much like G did, there's always a way that you can show your appreciation. You can donate to their charitable causes. I believe we reposted a list on our social media accounts, so you can check that out at sports_counsel. But it's always a good time if you won any fantasy football money, or if you just want to, spend a little bit of gratitude for the holidays, you should look at, what are the charitable causes that they had? What are the GoFundMes that they had? And you can make a nice little donation for them as a appreciation. That is the final fantasy football episode of the season. We are so glad that you have been able to listen to us over these past couple of, months at least. We started all the way back in preseason, and we're not going to stop, actually. This is the end of our fantasy football season, but we are still going to keep on doing episodes for the rest of the football postseason. We'll probably have some postseason episodes out very soon. And, this is where we actually talk real football. Yes, we know more than just fantasy football here. So go ahead and stay tuned for that. And, again, even though for all the people who have been listening throughout, maybe haven't even been competing for championships, maybe they got eliminated in the playoffs, it's okay. I think that it is a wonderful effort that you guys pulled. I mean, you guys had to basically understand the players for like 32 different teams, 5 players on each one. It's a ridiculous amount of people, plus the waiver wires, plus all the trades, plus everything. I mean, fantasy football is very, very hard. And props to you all for being able to get through it.
Thanks, right? Matt. It means so much, man. And I couldn't have won the championship that I did without you and these kind messages. And
You're
Gemmar,
welcome.
thanks to you as well for just being point two, not good enough.
Oh,
man.
my God. Yo, point
Thanks.
2 finna
Thanks,
haunt me
G.
forever, man. Point fucking 2. 2 yards. 2 yards.
Yeah, well, next year maybe pick up a guy that fights for extra yards.
Damn. No holds barred. Wow. All right.
Man.
One
Yeah,
last.
every matchup, G, gonna be personal now.
Hey,
Next
you know
year.
what the good part is? You know what the good part is? You could beat me every single week next week, and I can go 0-16, and I'll still have the championship.
Damn. Oh
The
my
champ
God.
is here.
One last shout out. I gotta do it. I gotta thank Zencastr for allowing us to do this podcast. We're recording on it right now. If you wanna, do your own podcast, you go to zencastr.com/pricing. Use our referral code Sports Counsel. You'll receive up to 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. That's Sports Counsel. All right, that is gonna do it for today's show. Anything else you guys want to say before we end this fantasy football season for good and never talk about it again?
We'll also be talking about it, but you guys want anything else you guys want to talk about?
Fuck Devon A-Chain. Fuck the Dolphins. Fuck Tua. You guys suck.
We're gonna switch things up. Young Men's Club, we're gonna run it back, but we're gonna add a little twist to it. I'll let you know when come July. All right.
Oh wow, that's a very
It's a
very
sneak. It's a tease right there.
a nice little tease foreshadowing the
Yeah.
changes.
Here we come.
But
I'm a win.
last thing I want to say, thank you everybody. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year,
Happy
man.
New Year. Happy 2025.
The champ is here.
Oh my God. See you next
The
time.
champ is here.
Thank God this is the last episode of 4 for Fantasy Football.
Champ is here.